From Ticker News with Aaron Young, this is Ticker Today.
Hello, thanks so much for joining me today. High-stakes diplomacy in Malaysia as US Secretary of State Marco Rubio meets Russia's Sergei Lavrov face-to-face at the ASEAN summit. Will their meeting help bring an end to the Ukraine war? Trump blocked. A federal court blocks President Trump's controversial push to end birthright citizenship. The ruling sets up a possible battle in the Supreme Court. Voice cloning, a stunning new threat. An AI-generated voice clone of Marco Rubio targets officials around the globe. The State Department today on high alert. A new king, Nvidia's CEO races past Warren Buffett in personal wealth as the chipmaker hits an eye-popping $4 trillion valuation. And fighting anti-Semitism in Australia. New funding rules in Australia to crack down on hate as the Albanese government punishes institutions for failing to act. This is Ticker Today, bringing you the top stories shaping the world right now. The first US Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, in Kuala Lumpur during the ASEAN talks. The discussions came amid escalating tensions from Russia's recent missile strikes on Ukraine, President Trump's threats of increased tariffs on the countries as well. Rubio stated that the US remains committed to ending the war in Ukraine, which President Trump said he would do as soon as he took office. The Secretary of State says his meeting with Sergei Lavrov went well.
There were some ideas exchanged today, some viewpoints that they expressed to us that I'll take back to the president for his consideration, and hopefully it will lead to something. I don't want to overpromise. I mean, again, as I said, this is a conflict that's been going on now for over 3 years, and as has already been pointed out by one of the questions here, we've seen an acceleration of attacks. I think it's probably the largest drone attack in a city close to the Polish border, actually, so it's a pretty deep strike. And again, I mean, it's every time you see this in the headlines and people die, it reminds you of why the president wants this war to end. As he has said from the beginning, his number one interest here is to stop people from dying and the destruction that's ongoing every single day.
But in Washington, Democrats are furious with President Trump's treatment of Ukraine.
Secretary Hegseth continues to be an embarrassment and a liability, and Donald Trump should never have chosen him to lead the Pentagon. For the second time this year, Secretary Hegseth haphazardly canceled the shipment of vital weapons that Ukraine needs in its war for survival against Vladimir Putin. And for the second time this year, his decision was eventually walked back by the president.
A federal judge in the United States has halted President Donald Trump's executive order that sought to eliminate birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. The ruling may send the case to the Supreme Court for final determination. The judge stated that denying citizenship would cause irreparable harm, issuing a preliminary injunction to protect affected children. Legal arguments from the government claiming a misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment were deemed unpersuasive by the judge, who highlighted the significance of the importance of citizenship. The Secret Service has suspended 6 agents involved in protecting Donald Trump during that assassination attempt at a rally in Pennsylvania last July. Disciplinary action for the agents include unpaid leave ranging from 10 to 42 days, and upon returning, they will assume restricted roles with reduced responsibilities. The agency faced significant criticism due to the security breach that led to the shooting, which resulted in 1 death and multiple injuries. The Secret Service is now implementing new measures, including military-grade drones to enhance security and prevent future incidents. A recent diplomatic cable has issued a warning about an impersonator using AI to mimic US Secretary of State Marco Rubio's voice. The individual targeted 3 foreign ministers and 2 US politicians through the Signal messaging app. The State Department investigating the incident has now advised staff to remain vigilant against similar impersonation efforts. The Secretary of State was asked on his trip to Malaysia about what happened.
No, I mean, it could happen to anybody. I mean, everybody, especially if you're a public figure, they just got to get enough, like they could take the interview out of here today and change it around. So, but, you know, as soon as I found out about it last week, I referred it to the FBI, diplomatic security, and others. It won't be the last time you see me or others, for that matter. Maybe some of you will be impersonated. But it's just a reality of this AI technology that's going on, and it's a real threat.
The Australian government has outlined a new plan to combat anti-Semitism led by Special Envoy Gillian Segal. The initiative suggests withholding funds from universities and arts institutions that do not take adequate action against anti-Semitism. Also calls for a review of Australia's hate speech laws and social media practices. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese welcoming the report and pledging that the government will closely examine its recommendations. Nvidia's CEO Jensen Huang is on track to surpass Warren Buffett in net worth, with current estimates placing Huang at $142 billion. His company Nvidia has achieved a significant milestone by becoming the first to reach a market cap of $4 trillion. Nvidia's market cap briefly passed that on Wednesday, making it the first to ever reach a benchmark of $4 trillion, and its stock up roughly 22% year to date. In the technology industry's AI arms race, Nvidia's computer chips have become valuable components for multiple leading AI developers. The European Union remains in a state of uncertainty as it awaits a trade agreement with the US. The initial deadline for a framework was July 9, but this was passed without resolution. President Trump suggesting the deal could be reached soon. The EU now expected to agree to a 10% baseline tariff, which may pave the way for future agreements. OpenAI is preparing to launch an AI-driven web browser aimed at competing with Google Chrome. The new browser, which is expected to debut in the coming weeks, designed to change how users interact with the internet while giving OpenAI better access to data. The move comes as OpenAI now seeks to expand its services amid increased competition in the tech industry. Let's check the markets for you now. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq Composite reaching record highs, closing 6,280 and 20,630. The growth occurred even as President Trump announced a 50% tariff on imported copper from Brazil and those escalating trade tensions. The Brazilian President Lula stated that Brazil would respond in line with its economic laws, leading to a decline in Brazilian markets.